Hello everyone, welcome back as usual to another discussion about the world of One Piece. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that's actually pretty interesting. Does Loki really have a chance to become the next member of the Straw Hat crew? As we've seen before, Luffy once invited Loki to join the crew, but Loki turned him down. At that time, not much was revealed about Loki's background, so his character was still very unclear. But now, we're starting to see things more clearly. And it's becoming obvious that Loki isn't actually a bad person. Many of the negative actions he was said to have committed have now been explained. And it turns out that all of them had reasonable motives behind them. Most recently, we learned that King Harren was being controlled by a godlike entity, which further reinforces the idea that Loki's past actions weren't truly evil. They were driven by circumstances, not malice. Because of this new information about Loki's character, even if he were to join the Straw Hat crew now, neither the characters in the story nor the readers would likely oppose it. In fact, the Kalan records mention that Loki fought alongside Luffy in a battle against a giant demon, which strongly hints that the two will eventually fight together. That said, there's still one major issue everyone seems to agree on: Loki's size. Even if Loki isn't evil, even if Luffy invites him, and even if Loki accepts, his body is simply too large. Of course, Luffy has never really cared about things like that, but it does feel like Oda may be setting things up so that Loki can't easily join the crew under normal circumstances. Still, if Loki truly wanted to join and Luffy truly wanted him on the crew, no one could really stop that. And interestingly enough, based on what's happening in Elbaf right now, there are 4 possible ways Loki could realistically join the Straw Hats. The first and simplest method is that Loki could travel alongside the Sunny using the Giant's means of travel, essentially moving with the crew without actually boarding the ship. This would be the easiest solution if Loki can't physically fit on the Sunny. However, this approach feels a bit awkward, since Loki and the Straw Hats wouldn't actually be traveling on the same ship. The second possibility involves Vegapunk Lilith, who is currently with Luffy's group in Elbaf. As one of the Vegapunks, Lilith has advanced scientific knowledge, so it's possible she could use technology to solve the size issue and allow Loki to board the Sunny. Given Vegapunk's intellect, this kind of solution wouldn't be surprising. The third option involves the owl in Elbaf that has the ability to enlarge objects around it. This raises the question of whether Oda is setting this up as a way for Loki to join the Straw Hats. If that owl were to travel with the crew and use its power, it could easily allow Loki to board the Sunny. It's also possible that the owl might die during the final battle in Elbaf, causing its devil fruit to reincarnate. If the Straw Hats were to obtain that power, it could become a long-term solution. This makes the enlargement ability a very interesting narrative setup. The final possibility is Loki's own devil fruit power, which has still not been revealed. We don't yet know what his ability is or what kind of power it grants. In One Piece, devil fruits come in many forms with vastly different abilities, so it's entirely possible that Loki's devil fruit allows him to shrink his body to the size of a normal human. If that's the case, then Loki could reduce his size and travel with the Straw Hats just like everyone else. If you want, I can also shorten this into a YouTube script, rewrite it as an analysis article, or make it sound more casual like spoken narration, and that would allow Loki to travel with Luffy's group without any difficulty. Right now, there's also a lot of analysis suggesting that Loki's abilities might be connected to the World Tree in some way. Throughout the story, Loki has been bound to a tree and has remained in the underworld alongside it. In mythology, Yggdrasil is said to be associated with a squirrel that lives on the tree. Because of this, it's interesting to consider whether Loki's powers might be related to that squirrel. If Loki were able to transform into a squirrel, then he could easily join the Straw Hat crew without any issues. This would make 4 possible scenarios that could allow Loki to become a member of the Straw Hats and travel with them. So the big question now is whether Loki will finally get the chance to join the Straw Hat crew, following Luffy's usual reckless way of doing things. For now, we'll just have to wait and see. That wraps up everything we wanted to discuss and analyze in this video. If you enjoyed this kind of content, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future updates from the channel. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.